Well, if you are someone who just thinks, young voters do the same thing every time, they're going to vote for the person with the D next to their name in a presidential election. Not so fast, my friend. As the great Lee Corso has been saying for years on College Game Day, there is some new polling out. It's funny because I feel like the last couple of Mondays we've had some new polling to tell you about, but I guess these polls always get dumped on Sundays by the TV networks that end up commissioning these polls. And they're pretty compelling. So the big one over the weekend was from NBC News. And the NBC News poll noted that Donald Trump, Joe Biden, a rematch of 2020, should be scaring the bejesus out of the Biden team for a multitude of reasons. We're seeing minority voters shifting towards Republicans, specifically towards Donald Trump in a head-to-head rematch. Not getting a majority or anything like that, but certainly growing on the gains made 4 years ago. But this might be the thing that hurts them the most. This could be the thing that really sends off alarm bells in the DNC. And that is a potential 30-point swing in 18 to 34-year-old voters. These are young voters who traditionally have always voted Democrat. They voted for Obama, obviously. I mean, they've traditionally voted Democrat to begin with. But if you get a 30-point swing towards Donald Trump and young voters, it's game, set, match. Take a listen to this. Steve Kornacki, NBC News.
And we talked about younger voters on foreign policy, and it's true on a host of other topics. Disaffected with Joe Biden. We have 46% for Trump, 42% for Biden among the youngest voters. The youngest voters in the 2020 election were Biden plus 26. This could be a massive sea change.
Biden plus 26. And if it is true that Trump could lead with 18 to 34-year-old voters, close up shop, call it a day if you're Pops. That is brutal. If you can't even win young voters when you won them by 26 points 4 years ago. Now, why would that be, by the way? Well, because it is about the economy. Young people who are starting their careers, maybe they're single, maybe they have families, doesn't really matter. They are feeling the pinch. They are questioning whether or not they can live the same American dream that many of their parents lived. Settle down, buy a house at a reasonable rate, eventually grow up in that home. If they want to trade up in house, that may be an option for them. That feels like it's dead to a lot of young people. And I say that as someone who's just outside of that age range, who knows a lot of these people. I've seen a lot of, I don't know what you would call them, memes, I guess, where it's like when you realize that 2.9 mortgage rate that you locked in 2020 or 2021 has you stuck in that house for 40 years. A lot of kind of memes along those lines. And it's true for a lot of people. The notion that, hey, here's my starter home. Those days feel like they're over. What's a starter home in the Kansas City area right now? $300,000-$400,000, depending on where you're at in town, right? It'll depend where you're at, but you get the point. And then forget trading up one day. What's that going to look like at $500,000, $600,000, $700,000? You may not get to that point. That one home that you buy might be it. And that's fine, but it's not certainly how the boomer generation went about their business. You had the starter, you had the second, sometimes you had the third, and then you downsize and the whole thing. It feels like for a lot of young people, those days are dead and they're not coming back. And they've lived through the last 3 years. They felt the pain. And they said, gosh, maybe I really don't like that guy, Trump. But if I'm given a binary option and I was working during those years and I was living pretty good and I didn't deal with inflation and rising cost of everything, it might be worth a shot. And by the way, how many of these young people will deny ever voting for the guy, but will go into that voting booth and do it? I guarantee you there are millions of young Americans who will do that if we end up with this rematch. Now, is that rematch good for America? Probably not, for a multitude of reasons. The first being age. Joe's turning 81 today. I think we need a new rule. If my 5-year-old can't count, if Claire can't count to your age, you can't be president. It's really that simple. She can get into like 70-ish. We've got her up to 70-ish. But if she can't count to your age, if a 5 or 6-year-old can't count to your age, then take it off the map. You can't be president. It's got to be that simple. It shouldn't be any more complex than that. As Joe turns 81 years old today, by the way. So happy birthday there, Pops. Hope you have a great day. But now you've got this issue as well for him, where the negatives for both of these guys are astronomically high. Here's Kornacki, NBC.
Here it is. Wow. Donald Trump, we have at 46%. Biden, 44%.
And this is significant because this is the first time in the history of our poll that former President Trump beats President Biden, still within the margin of error, but still significant.
Yeah, in 2019, 2020, when Trump was president, he trailed all of them. This year, he's trailed all of them in our poll. First time in more than a dozen polls we've seen a result like this. Some of the other ingredients that go into that, Biden has long had an advantage over Trump on likability. Look, at the start of this year, 39% said they had a positive view of Biden, barely 30% of Trump. We've seen consistently a gap like this. Now, the gap is gone. 36 positive on both, and actually Biden 1 point more negative than Trump.
How about that? Biden 1 point more negative than Trump in the eyes of the American people. That is something that nobody could have predicted 3 years ago. When he was running as the moderate, bring everybody together, we're going to get America back on track. No one would have ever thought we'd see a poll like this, but here we are. And I know there's a lot of time left, and it's one poll, it's one snapshot. I'm not married to it or anything like that. But you're seeing poll after poll after poll have a similar trend. No matter who's doing it. The New York Times one we talked about a week ago, this one from NBC News, the trends are very similar. How accurate each one is, we're not totally sure, but the trends away from grandpa, helping Trump a little bit if Trump sticks to the issues, and that's going to be the question. Can Donald Trump make 2024 about the American people and not himself? That's the question. Can he make it? And this is part of what Bill O'Reilly talked about on the show on Friday. Can he make it about the issues that will impact you and I and not about his grievances? If he can do that, he's got a great chance. If he can't, I think the old guy can pull it off again. Meantime, the president was celebrating Friendsgiving over the weekend, and if you missed this gem of a clip, here it is.
Thank you. And I love your ears. I love them. They're really cool. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, what a beautiful name. That's my mommy's name. Well, nice to see. How old are you, 17? 6.
6. Yeah, there's Joe at Friendsgiving in Norfolk, Virginia over the weekend, saying to a 6-year-old she's got nice bunny ears or some ears she had on her head, and then asking her if she's 17 when she's 6. I mean, geez.
And I love your ears.
Woo! Okay, Smitty and Olathe, what's up, man?
Man, I thought I heard that right this morning earlier. I about wrecked driving out here paying taxes. But good Lord, that man's in some kid's ears. Is that what's going on or what?
He just loves the ears, brother. I mean, you know, they just got to get a sniff of them, I guess. I don't know.
I love your ears.
Love the ears. I'm sure you got beautiful big ears too, Smitty, don't you?
I'm telling you, I can hear big ears because I can hear you anytime on the Pete Mundo show on 100,000 watts of fire down here anywhere.
That's right, brother. We are loud and clear across all of Olathe now. It was always hit or miss in Olathe, but now no complaints from Olathe listeners on 95.7.
And I just cleared through Fort Scott, Kansas, and you broke up a little bit. I'm telling you, it's unreal.
I love it, Smitty. Have a great day, man, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Hey, you too. You know I love gravy.
That's right, brother.
Thanksgiving. Boy, I love Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes, Rex Archer, baby. Fit in that drop as many times as we can the next 3 days. Enjoy it. The former KCMO health director.